Welcome back, everyone, to ABG Investor Days. My name is Henrik Hintze, and I'm an equity research analyst here at ABG. With me today, I have the CEO of Seafire, a company I cover, Johan Bennarsten. And with that, I give the word to Johan.
Thank you, Henrik. Good to be here. I established Seafire in 2016, and my idea was to create a business unit with a number of niche companies, SME companies, in the low and mid range when it comes to revenues. Our focus is 50 to 200 million. We have M&A strategy to create a portfolio and also to add organic growth and increase profit with industrial approach, mainly from the private equity, where I have experience. We have a buy and hold strategy, so we don't plan for exits. We are very operational in our approach. We focus on building management teams, building strategy in the companies, and also create network between the CEOs in order to create a platform for each company to gain additional sales and also increase profits. We have made actually 14 acquisitions to date, average about 5x without earnouts. I think the latest two acquisitions we made is 6 to 7x EBITDA. We have CAGR of 9%. Our target is 10%, and this is from the history from 15. And of course, we haven't owned the companies since then, but one can say that we have acquired companies with organic growth, and we maintained the organic growth quite high. We have two business units. One is products, 6 companies in that segment, and then we have industrial components of 7 companies. Or 8 companies with Boro, actually. We have pro forma revenue of 1 billion and 10% EBITDA pro forma. Last year, we have 12% organic growth, up from 8% in 2021. My own background is private equity. I've been 15 years at Kappan, heading the life science team. I'm a medical doctor and engineer. And in 15, I left Kappan and actually spent 1 year at Pareto. But I was a true entrepreneur, so I started Seafire with the first acquisition, Hedén, that I made privately. I'm being the CEO and still 5% of the shares in the company. Jacob Persson joined a year ago as CFO. He has business background from Ambea, head of IR and business control. And then Marcus Åkerstedt, COO, a year back, actually today. Acquired his company, Åkerstedts Verkstad, in 2019. And then he has remained in the board of Åkerstedts and also served a number of companies as industry expert in the portfolio, but joined as COO now in March last year. We have what differs perhaps from the other conglomerates or similar companies, also the big ones, AdTech, Lifco, and so on. We're focused very much on creating value and create additional growth and increase profit in our portfolio companies. We take care of the succession very soon after acquisition. We add management team members also. We have actually changed the CEO in all companies after our acquisition from the entrepreneur. Some has been changed before we acquired a company, and some we do. We also add industry experts in our board of directors. We have Lars Rebo, for example, in Toralgen. He was formerly head of MIN's manufacturing and logistics, and in all companies we have industrial external board members. We have a Seafire Academy, which is a training where we work with sales academy, improve sales, not just recruit sales teams. but also train the sales teams in order to be better. Actually, we have employed 20 sales reps since we have took over each company. So actually more than one per company since our takeover of the company. And that's mainly our buffer for a downturn. That is strengthening the sales teams and be very proactive. Very many Swedish companies, especially in the industry segments, are order takers rather than outgoing calls and try to find new customers. Also, we have a steady improvement program that is automation, lean, production, digitalization, ESG. So this is our programs throughout the group. ESG is, of course, one very important thing. We focus very much on ESG. We are heading to the main market, and that also will put some that we have to follow the taxonomy. But I think the most important is to work with ESG questions in our companies to lower our CO2 emission. And also, actually, like Tor Ahlgren, each article or each SKU we offer to Scania and Volvo, there's a CO emission on the offer. So actually, we see also that we can take advantage to be very, very early on this work with ESG when it comes to SMEs. The big companies, as you know, they are already there and put pressure on vendors. And I think this is, you have to be there to work with ESG and also to lower not just the CO2 emission, but also water consumption and other things that you actually have as a waste when you produce products or also perform services. When it comes to our long-term strategy, it has been very important to create a platform, 1 billion SEK in sales and a number of companies building this. So we have a number of companies building up the EBITDA and also the revenue. So that has been actually the focus since 2016. Now we are there when it comes to the top line and also EBITDA. In Q4, as you also perhaps remember, this was a big feeling of big uncertainty. We have inflation, increased interest rates. We have the Ukraine war and also energy crisis, and that was very a feeling in our companies that how will the 23 look like and also perhaps the Q4. We saw some slowdown in consumer segment. We call it post-COVID or after COVID effect, and that was Nordbutiker home gym was slowed down a bit. But one should keep in mind in 2021 and 2020, there was a big boom when it comes to this kind of products when you couldn't go to the gym and train. And also we saw the signs for property development, family houses and property development slow down. We didn't see that in our numbers, but that there was a big uncertainty. We see signs of less competition, especially with e-commerce. A number of competitors to Nordbutiker went to reorganization and later bankruptcy, and that I think will improve the business climate for especially Nordbutiker going forward. As said, we took a very important steps to actually go from capital intensive build up of the organization and Seafire. We are now entering to a cash flow driven M&A and development strategy for acquired company and new companies, but also develop our portfolio companies. December 21st, we made a director share issue of 250 million and also got a decision from our bank regarding debt financing. So that was a very, very important event in the Q4. Also, we announced that we're planning for the main market in 2023. We have been working quite intensively, especially with the refinancing. I think it was very important to be very early in this. We save actually 150,000 SEK per day in interest. That's 50 million annually basis, so that's a really relief on our financials. Also, we made announcement of acquisition of Borpannan. That's also a ESG company working with hot water tanks for heating tanks for hot water and heat pumps. 50% of Europe's heating in Northern Europe are done with oil and gas. And that's actually gas is instantly when you need the hot water, you burn gas or oil to heat the water. But with electricity, you have to have a tank. You can't heat the water instantly. So that's I say NIBE market. Actually, we saw a very big growth, 42% in this company, and we succeeded in a big competition to acquire the company. It had almost 150 million SEK in sales and also more than 10% in EBITDA. We see a very strong first month with 80% growth in January compared to last year. So this is a fantastic company, and we foresee to develop it further. That is just to actually take care of the demand. Today, I think it's 18 months. You have to wait for a heat pump. So this is just the beginning of this market growth. When it comes to the full year, we saw quite good growth in our portfolio companies, 10-15% of growth, but actually the same gross profit level. We couldn't actually have the gross profit margin in place, but this is also then the result where we have a margin down of 2.3%. It's mainly due to dollar. We are quite dollar sensitive on the negative side. About 10% or 1 kroner more for a US dollar euro have 10 million SEK in net result for the group. So actually we import more than we export. Also, we changed accounting principle for Solid Engineer that actually moved more than 35 million SEK in revenue and 17 million on our full year numbers. Pro forma, it was a profit that we moved forward of 23 million. And also, actually, even though we had this margin erosion, we saw majority of daughter companies improve the profit compared to 2021. But also in this context, we added some cost on the mother company with the team and also in main market plans. So that's why we're down a bit when it comes to the EBITDA margin. Just a short note on the Solid Engineer. We had in December we moved 33 million of the sales to 2023 and 2024. You see on the left panel there, and 14 million in EBITDA contribution. So that's a very significant change. But it's not lost revenues. It's the same cash flow as earlier, but just when we recognize the revenues. Organic growth was just 1% in Q4, but one should keep in mind that during 9 months in 2022, we have almost 20% organic growth and turned out to 12% on the full year. And last year, we had a very strong, or 2021, we had a very strong Q4 with 33% of organic growth. So it was actually better than it looked. When it comes to our business segment, we have the industrial components on the left. We have organic growth of 7%, even though we had very big challenges with one company. It's Toralgren, working with Scania, and they had stop in their factories several times during Q4. But we see increased cost for materials, energy, and logistics. So our margin is down a bit, but it's mainly that we can't really increase the prices that much as the goods for the cost of goods. We have increased cost for energy, logistics, and so on. That actually reduced the margin. When it comes to products, we have one company, especially one company that had significant lower revenue. It was Ludafarm. It was more of product mix. We have more sales to the industry segment, which actually has a better gross profit margin than the agri business, but it was down 30%. And also together with the impact of Solid Engineer, which actually took out very much of the EBIT margin. So if you add 14.4 to 5.7, we are on the plus side, not 10%, but not far from it. So all in all, quite stable Q4. And the main impact here is the Solid Engineer, the change of revenue recognition. Seafire share, we are trading about 21 SEK, 900 million in almost in market cap. Creades is the biggest owner. They joined the owner list 2 years ago when we raised the bond. And then we have a good owner list with Berenberg, Alkur, or Handelsbanken. So we had the capacity in the group, in the owner group, when we made this capital raise in Q4, but Handelsbanken Fonder was a new one there. And also myself is on 4%. If you look at the outlook for this year, we see quite stable Q1. So far, it will be a bumpy road, but it has been as in 2020, 21, 22. We see a very good demand in majority of companies, and also some companies we see a pickup from Q4 levels now in Q1. We work actively with our Seafire Academy, with sales, as said, and also steady improvement in ESG. The most important thing we announced last week is the change to bank financing, where we actually had a relief of 50 million per year from Q2. Our interest rate go from 11.7 to 6.1 with the STIBOR 90 at current levels of 3.20 around. We will go now from building the platform to a cash flow driven M&A strategy, and also develop our portfolio companies. And also we target for main list here now in first half of the year. We are very well on the timeline for this. Financial targets, we haven't had that in the past, but we announced that also with the Q4. Our target is net sales growth of 15%, out of which 10% should be organic growth. We have EBITDA margin of 10% as a target. Long-term net debt goal is 2 to 3.25. And M&A, as said, we made Bure right now in a month ago, and we foresee to consolidate this year and then look forward to perhaps some add-ons, but also some new deals. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Johan. Let's move on to some questions. So Seafire is obviously a very acquisition-driven company. Could you tell us a bit about what you look for in companies when you aim to acquire them? What's your process like?
Well, what we look for is in simple words, good companies with good owners, and that means they take care of the personnel, the customers, and the vendors. They have good financials also. I think we have a quite broad portfolio, as you see here, but we look for areas that actually long-term can have a higher growth than the GDP. And ESG is very important for us. We don't acquire companies within plastic production or that kind of things. And when it comes to find this, I would say narrow it down why we acquired some companies and not others, of course, we see that some of our competitors, especially in the trade and Lagercrantz, they acquire some of actually the deals that we have looked at. But our strategy is not perhaps to find synergies between companies. And I think Lagercrantz and the big ones, they don't have synergies between companies either. They have training schools as we do, but I mean, to move to add synergies, to take out costs and so on, that's very hard when you have legal entities running the business. So we look to, in short words, we look for niche companies with a good growth and a good margin, so we can start from to create further value. But of course, we add some cost initially with team expansion in order to reduce the succession risk or the operational risk. I don't really actually have the right answer to your question because will not tell you how we do it. But of course, I've been doing this for 20 years, so it's in my spine how to do it. But I think we have been quite successful in finding those companies and see that we also can be a good owner of the company. In some companies, we see that okay, the entrepreneur will not leave the control, and then it's not us. There are others that can work with those. And also that you see that you will not compete in the long term with digitalization or some change in the market. I mean, one thing that we acquired, Åkestet Verkstad, which is fans, industrial fans, targeted fans they are designed for a purpose. And that's, if you buy that from China, you can buy it from perhaps 30% of the cost, but it takes 8 weeks on the boat for logistics, and often you have 2-3 weeks from order to delivery. So they will not be a competitor. You can't fly them on a jumbo jet. So that's we look that you can't really find a competitor that you actually can outsource to Asian country also manufacturing. So that's one reflection of it.
All right, that sounds good. So 2022 was a very eventful year for Seafire. What's the outlook going into 2023? Do you have a plan?
Yeah, of course we have a plan. I think the financing has been the main target. We see still perhaps 10% organic growth could be quite hard, given also that we have some companies that targeted the pricing to metal prices in London, for example, and they have to reduce. So that's Torhagen and others that actually will, with the same volume, have lower prices and negative organic growth. But we foresee at least 5%. I think Bore can be still not perhaps 40%, but they can really lift the group. Our target is to get back to more than 10% EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA. Now we're 9% something. We see solid, the change on solid we see in Q1 now that we can reverse the revenues, and that will be a positive impact. And the last thing here is to go to the main market. So I think we are doing quite well. I think it's very good that we have made this financing in place. Okay, now we have 2 weeks to actually do it, but that was the main. So we can actually have control over our own balance sheet and cash flow, so we don't have to go to the market. So that's I think that's the major thing here.
Thank you, Johan. That's all we have time for today. Thank you all for listening.